On today's episode of the Beauty in the Basement podcast, we will be talking about exploring the uniqueness, the intricacies of what makes us uniquely us, your identifiers, your beauty marks, your quirks, your tone, your voice, everything that makes you who you are. And on this episode of the podcast, as I share about what makes Nia Soule Salon, what makes Maria, and hopefully even for you that I get you to spark a little bit of thought around your uniqueness and embracing you in all authenticity as to who you are. Thank you for coming on the Beauty in the Basement podcast. It's going to be a great one. Sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to today's episode of the Beauty in the Basement podcast. I hope you all had a great new year. I'm wondering how you spent your new year, because mine, finally, I get to go back on the trail. Oh my God, I have not been back on the trail since April of 2024, and I'm so grateful to be back on the trail, hiking with the group, the Black Hiking Club. You may have seen me post about them on my Instagram from time to time, and I'm just so excited to be back really on the trail, because when I'm on the trail, it's just like quiet and peace. I just have I'm probably playing music, I'm probably listening to some message or something, and here and there I may break and have conversations with other people in the group as well, go hiking. So it was a great hike this time. And I remember my last hike, Tracy Stevens, who actually happens to be the founder of the Black Hiking Club, him and another young gentleman, they were in the back of the pack, I remember. And one of the slogans for the Black Hiking Club is "No hiker left behind." And when I tell you, last year, my last hike, there were times when I would just fold over and I thought I was just taking a rest, but not knowing that literally, because I was having like severe anemia and I had a blood count of a 6. At that point, I didn't even know. And I'd been hiking like pretty much every 2 weeks, and I was busy with the remodeling at the Fayetteville Salon location, not even knowing that the tiredness, the lightheadedness wasn't even just about me being tired. It was because I was severely anemic. And I remember the last hike, that slogan for the Black Hiking Club kept reverberating, and literally Tracy and Adam literally lived up their slogan, "No hiker left behind." Now, because I couldn't keep pace with a group, in the past I would be kind of in the middle, but at this point back in April of last year, I think I was really at the bottom level of being anemic, because at that point, I would later go on to find out that I'd been living life with a 6 blood count, which at this point you're at blood transfusion level. And I remember they kept asking me and stopping, "Are you okay?" And I kept saying, "Oh, I haven't been out active a lot, and I'm just my body's adjusting." And I kept using that as an excuse, not knowing that it was more than just being tired. And I'll tell you, those two gentlemen, they kept their pace at the back and just walked with me. And just every time I got down and I was literally trying to get more breath in, they would just be there, just behind me, just it was just a protection and a covering that those two gentlemen had. And so today when I went back on the trail, I asked for Tracy. Tracy wasn't there, and I was telling this lady the story, and truly, no hiker left behind. You guys truly live your mantra at the Black Hiking Club. So shout out to the Black Hiking Club, guys. I appreciate you guys. And so going into today's episode of the podcast, today's episode is titled Beauty Marks. What are your beauty identifiers? What marks you? What separates you? What makes you unique? What makes your voice, your tone, your attitude, your vibe, your energy. What is it about you that when you walk into the room, they know, okay, this is her, this is him? Or if it's your business brand, or this is what we know this brand for. Or if it's your family, what makes your family your family? What is that name? What is that identifying character that makes you unique? Because one thing I've come to understand in my walk in life, navigating Nia Soule Salon, and even coming to who I am as a woman, as a mother, as a daughter, what are those things that make me me? What are those things that when I come into a space, this is Maria. When you see maybe a braid or a salon experience, you're like, oh, this is a Nia Soule Salon experience. What are those things that make us who we are and separates us from other people? And where I always say, once we know who we are, it is a disservice to yourself to even try to even get into that place where you're competing. Because whoever it is that you're competing with, you're trying to compete with someone who that is them in their original form. And so trying to be something else that you were not created to be, obviously it'll come off like you're struggling to be something that you were not even created to be. And when we talk about our beauty marks, I know I haven't worked on clients over the years, and we're really up close and personal with our clients. You get to see a lot of beauty marks on our clients. Sometimes it'll be moles on their cheek, maybe on their neck. It'll be freckles. Like my son from the day I had him, Odin has always had this black patch on his leg, and he literally grew up with that mark. And the lady said, "Hey, this is a mark that's common with a lot of black babies." And every time I see that mark, and I remember he's asked me even as he's grown and asked, "Mommy, what is this mark?" And I always say, "Odin, you came from heaven just like that." And that's one of the things that makes you just beautiful and unique. Like God had to put a stamp on you to say, "Hey, this is my boy." And every time we laugh about that, I don't know what it is your beauty marks are though. I don't know what is that mark that identifies you, that separates you from the crowd. And every time you come in contact or you see that beauty mark, you even in your own self, this is me. This is what separates me from everybody. This is what keeps me not chasing trend, not trying to be somebody else, but authentically you. Now, in your uniqueness, in what identifies you, you're not even trying to explain yourself to anybody. Because even if you try to explain yourself to somebody, most times they may not even understand what you're even trying to say. Because when you know who you are on the inside, there really isn't no explanation that you're trying to give anybody else for them to try to even understand that. Because it's what makes you peculiar. It's what makes you chosen. It's what makes you different. It's what makes you a masterpiece. And in that space where we're coming to terms with our identifiers, what makes us separate, are we still trying to listen to the voice of people outside who are trying to define who you are, or to tell you, oh, you should look like this, or you should be like this, or you should follow the pack? I know one of the things my mom always tells me about myself, she said, "Maria, even when you were a little kid, that you've never been one who's been inside the crowd. You've always been outside of the crowd." She said, if it was a bunch of kids playing in the neighborhood or in a circle, that I would always be the one sitting outside of the circle and watching. And until we can get to that place where, and this is one of this is my personal slogan that I tell myself, I don't want to be lost in the crowd, because the crowd is too big, and if I try to do everything the crowd is doing, nobody's gonna notice me. I'm never going to stand out. And on today's episode, just exploring beauty marks, what makes you, what makes you unique, what makes you identify in your own unique and special way, and even embracing the totality of who you are, whose you are. I remember at the start of Nia Soule Salon, when we got started, I remember one of the things I noticed when I would go around just living in Atlanta and just watching, maybe driving in your neighborhoods, and a lot of the braid shops that I would see around the city, they all had like cut out pictures of different braided looks on their windows, and you really couldn't even see the inside of the salon. You couldn't tell if people were there inside working, because all of their windows were just splattered with, I hope that's the right word, splattered. It was just splattered with pictures of models. And I remember I would drive past a lot of the places, and they all had the same exact look. Every single one of them had the exact same look. And one of the things that got quickened in my spirit, I said, I don't want to look like everybody. I really want to look like myself. I really want to be me. And one of the instructions the Lord gave us at that time when we were starting was, I want you to live a life of declutter. I don't want your windows cluttered. Those are the specific instructions the Lord gave me. I don't want your windows cluttered. I want you to do less. And for the average person starting a business and trying to break into an industry, what sometimes we try to do is try to go look like everybody. And are you in your bid of trying to fit in? And now you have patches of everybody's look on your face. You look like the story from 2007. You look like the experience from 2014. You look like the accident from 2005. You look like the grief from 2008. And you've got all of these patches of experiences and stuff all over you, to the point that we don't even know what you look like. We don't even know what you look like, because now you've got stamps of everything and everybody and every experience is all over you. And then we're trying to look for you in the face of all of the clutter that is now covered, truly the beauty that is on the inside of you. And I navigated that season staying true to me. I kept our picture. We had just 2 pictures on our windows. We had just 2 pictures, and that was all it was. And I kept saying, as long as we continue to deliver value, as long as we continue to deliver ouchless braiding, as long as we continue to deliver integrity in the way we served our clients, my hopes and my aspiration is that our true identity will shine out. And as soon as we began to move in the direction of decluttering and keeping it simple and staying true to what are the things that hold our core, our foundation, the beauty, the light inside of us truly shone. I remember another experience, again, another instruction that the Lord gave us when it came to even designing our business cards. Kind of similar to the same story as what our storefront windows should look like. I remember even on our business card, it was specific. I don't need you to use everybody's cards, the same pictures that everybody has. Don't do that. Specifically, I heard him say, don't do that. I want you to use your own pictures. Even if you don't have a lot of pictures, find one of your best pictures and put it there. Don't go cut out pictures of a whole bunch of different braided models and just stamp it, copy everybody's picture and put it there. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you. And you're saying, I want you to be different. I want you to be unique. I want you to be peculiar in the way you show up. I followed that instruction, put a picture of one of our clients that we did on that business card. And I remember I'd put a card in one of the beauty supply stores around Lawrenceville where I used to purchase hair from this lady. And one lady just called randomly and said, hey, I'm at this beauty supply store in Lawrenceville and I'd like to come to your salon to come get our hair done. And I responded and I said, hey, we would love to see you, da 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 da. And I asked her, because Lawrenceville wasn't even anywhere close to Norcross technically, because there are a whole lot of beauty supply stores in the Lawrenceville area, a whole lot of braid salons in the Lawrenceville area that this lady could go to. So my thought was that if she lived in the Lawrenceville area, why does she want to drive a good maybe 20 minutes thereabout just to come to us? And this was what the lady said. She said, I looked at all of the cards that are sitting here inside this beauty supply store, and your card is the only card that was different from a bunch of all the other cards that sit here. All the other cards are the exact same pictures of the braiding models from wherever it is everybody gets their pictures. Your business card is the only card that is different, and it had your own work on it. And that's why I want to come here and do business with you. Now, at the time that these business cards were printed and the time this lady was seeing these cards, it's probably maybe a good 1 year or thereabouts. Your uniqueness will be tested through time. And if you're trying to rush the process of how you show up, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to cook this food quickly. Trust me, sometimes when I rush and cook the food and I'm like, oh, Maria, this isn't it. This isn't it at all. I eat my own food and I'll be like, no, Maria, this is a rush process. You need to stop rushing while you're cooking this food. And when I talk about rushing through beauty, a masterpiece takes time to create. Uniqueness takes time to create. And she came in, got her hair done, I believe. And that was a life lesson learned about being true to your identity and not trying to be somebody else or a copycat of somebody else. Another experience, again, that really made me walk in the fullness of my uniqueness, my voice, my branding, and how I show up. I remember even with navigating the name of the salon. Remember in past episodes I talked about, or maybe from some Instagram live that I may have done, I've talked about when I was trying to find the name of Nia Soule Salon, and I was first Braids by Maria, and then I was African Braids by Maria, and then I was Beauty from the Inside Out, and I was Nia Soule Braids Creations, until we settled at Nia Soule Salon. And those specific instructions came from, again, who am I? Who do I identify as? If I go by African Braids by Maria, do you know how many African girls are Marias? It'll interest you how many Africans actually answer that name Maria. So my name Maria actually comes from my Catholic background, and because Maria and a lot of my tribe, having converted to Christianity, and a lot of them practice Catholicism, the name Maria is actually very popular with my tribe back home in Nigeria. So you would find a lot of Idoma people who, that is my tribe. You'll find a lot of Idoma people who their daughters answer the name Maria, obviously from the Virgin Mary. And I remember when I said, hey, there might probably be like 20 Marias who are Africans who also can do hair. And one of the things I was like, okay, I don't want to be lost in the crowd. And I hope as I share my story of uniqueness and not being lost in the crowd, I hope I do inspire you to lean into your own voice, your own uniqueness, your own peculiarity with your giftings, your talents, your voice, and everything that God has shaped and created you to be. And so circling back to when we got the location at 5316 Beaufort Highway, Suite 102, and we had first put up the name Nia Soule Salon, and I remember one of the braiders was like, "Oh well, you kind of look like an African American salon because there's nothing about you that says this is a braid shop." And I love her to death, and I know that our suggestion was only just based off of like, hey, let's try to get a lot of clients in so that they would even know that this is a braid shop. And at that point, I said, well, we'll see what we'll do about it. But for now, I think we're just going to leave it as Nia Soule Salon, and we'll go from there. At that point, we didn't even have a tagline. Now, a lot of people internally knew us. Now, this conversation was somewhere around 2012, maybe 13, maybe. And a lot of people quietly on the ground was beginning to know us and Nia Soule Salon. At that time, we hadn't even gotten the tagline, so we were just strictly Nia Soule Salon. But folks knew that if you came to Nia Soule Salon, you were going to get braids that were not tight. So that was something that was known already. And I left it that way, didn't even touch it, because I got to the point where I said, okay, God had previously given me a series of instructions about staying unique. One, not cluttering our storefront window with a whole bunch of pictures of braiding models that you couldn't even see the picture of the salon. That was one. Secondly, he had also told us about our business cards. Do not use other people's pictures of their work on your business card. Use your business card. Use your photos on your business card, even if you don't have any, even if you don't have a whole lot. If you have one, put that one. And I think at that point, I may have gone on ahead and done a small, cheap photo shoot at that time, and just use some of the photos to put on the business card. So that was number two. So one was decluttering the windows. He said he didn't want the windows cluttered. He wanted people to be able to see us as we were working. Two was the business cards, and three was the name. Now the fourth one was also, don't put a tagline until I give you something. And so when my assistant at the time, she was a fellow braider, she said, hey, maybe we need to put the word African braids on there. And I said, yeah, we'll see about it. And I left it. I didn't even touch it until maybe 2014, thereabout. So 2014, we had moved to the downtown. We had moved to College Park. And then in 2015, we were now in Fayetteville. Now, while we were in Fayetteville, I remember another experience, another braider came, and it was still the same story. Oh, maybe you need to put the word African braiding on there so that people would know that this is an African braid shop, and they would not be thinking that this was a traditional African American salon. Now, I didn't want to put the word African braid shop, even if the core of our team are braiders from Africa. I always had the vision of Nia Soule Salon being a home for every representation of Black women braiding. Whether they were African Americans, they were Caribbeans, they were Africans. The vision God showed me was that we were going to house Black women who had a gift of doing hair under one roof, regardless of where we came from geographically. And while I hadn't even seen the entrance of African American stylists, Caribbean stylists joined the team, I was still obedient to what God had called us to. And so going there to go stamp the word African braid shop, I knew that was going to be limiting what God had already told me. And so I was slow to throwing a tagline or a word on there. Now I remember when the new braider at the Fayetteville location also began to say, hey, maybe you need to put the word African braid in there so that we could bring in more people to come into the salon. I said, yes, I'm going to work on something like that. And I remember at this point, I was like, God, who are we? Who do we identify as? What do the clients say about us? And this was 2016. Yeah, this was 2016. At this point, we had kind of gotten a lot of ground. We had built ground. We had built foundation that people know us, that we did ouchless hair braiding. At this point, I was like, okay, Lord, I know that this is what people say we are. I know that's who we are. Now, there might be a few women in the group that when they come in, I have to like work on their technique and get them to produce ouchless braiding just like everybody on the team. And I said, Lord, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to make a banner. I'm going to put that banner up in front of the salon, and I'm going to use the word ouchless hair braiding. Lord, please don't embarrass me, because this is a unique gift that you gave us on how to braid hair. And I am going to go out there and put the word ouchless hair braiding. And I'm trusting you that this is the tagline I believe that you've given us. This is our unique identifying character that you've given us. And I'm going to lean into it. And so I made that banner I put up the banner it was the weekend. I remember it was the weekend. Maybe it was a Thursday that the banner went up. And I think that banner cost us like $130. And on Saturday or Monday, a lady called, said, hey, I'm trying to get my daughter's hair done, and I would like to come in the next day, which I think was a Tuesday. And so I took the appointment for her, and I asked her, hey, how did you find us? She said, I'm just driving. I'm at the drive-thru at the KFC across from you guys. And this was when we were at 108 Banks Crossing, right next to the Goodyear tire store. And I remember her saying, oh, I just turned and looked up at the sign, and it said ouchless hair braiding, and my daughter is tender-headed, and I wanted to come see if you guys are truly that. And I laughed and I said, yes, we are. When you come in, you're going to experience that. She came in. I want to say the hairstyle was about $160. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I did her hair. I don't remember. But pretty much the banner paid for itself like Tuesday. And right after we put up that signage that said ouchless hair braiding, that was what opened up the Fayetteville location to the whole community. Staying true to who we are. Our beauty mark is that we do provide ouchless hair braiding. Plus, alongside the other services that we've now begun to also offer to guests. While it took us, from maybe 2012, 2013, with the first braider saying, hey, maybe you need to put the word African hair braiding. And then 2016, the other braider says, hey, maybe you need to put the word African braiding in, so that people don't think it's just a regular African American salon. Now, when you stay true to your identity, your uniqueness, you never know what kind of door that you're unlocking. You never know what opportunities you're unlocking. But when we try to go be somebody else that we're not, again, I say this, we get lost in the crowd, because your unique identity is what God has crafted, shaped you, that will announce you to the world. that will bring you into rooms that you do not even ever in your wildest imagination believe that you will go into. I'm encouraging you with my stories today. I think I've given about 4 stories already of how just staying unique to you separates you from the crowd and brings you before greatness. My final story of how staying unique to you, staying true to your identity. This happened at the Fayetteville location again. And every time I always said I wanted our windows decluttered. I didn't want it to be just covered with a whole bunch of pictures, because God said I want them to look in and see what I'm doing inside the salon. And so we were at the salon on a Saturday. This lady was, she kept walking past the salon back and forth. And I noticed her looking into the salon. And so I went to the door to go say hello to her. And I said, "Hi, my name is Maria. Do you need any help?" And she was like, "No, I'm just watching what you guys are doing. And I came to get my car fixed at a mechanic's, the Goodyear tire store. And I was just looking at how unique and different and just beautiful your storefront window is." And she said, "I have a relative who lives in the Caribbean." I'm not sure which of the islands this was, but obviously the lady's from the Caribbean islands. And she said, "My family member does hair, and I just want to take a picture of what your storefront looks like and send it to her so that she can be inspired." Now, one of the things God always just leaned in my spirit is that I would use what I'm doing here at Nia Soule Salon to inspire people all over the world. And I'm sitting here, an instruction God gave me back at the start of the salon, probably maybe 2010, 2011, 2012. This is almost 5-6 years later. This is like 2016, 2017. This lady is standing in front of the Fayetteville location and saying she wanted to take a picture of the salon and send it to our relative in the Caribbean islands to show her, like, hey, this is different. Now, what did that lady see about our storefront window that caught her attention and inspired her to send it to a relative? Now, my prayer was like, what? Go ahead and take the picture of the storefront and send it to your relative. Like, this is exactly what I've always prayed for. Like, people would see what we're doing and it will spark something in their core to stay unique, to stay authentic to who they are, as they also pursue purpose and live out their calling. I was like, look, if your relative wants my phone number and needs help with me sharing some of how God has worked with me, and just she can bounce off ideas off of me, I was like, of course, go ahead. Staying unique to you allows you to just inspire others into the greatness that is also inside of them. Because if you're doing what everybody's doing, you get lost in the crowd. How can you even inspire or even change your world if you look just like everybody else? Today, my encouragement for you is lean into your beauty marks. What makes you different? What makes you peculiar? What makes you chosen? Again, as I always say, we're created masterpieces. It might take time. It might take time for you to navigate and find what your voice is, what your look is, what your brand is, what your tone is. But it's inside of you. My hopes is that you don't get lost in the crowd, and as much as the people around you are giving you cues, they're giving you ideas, instead of, I'm going to try to say this carefully because there's a lot of nuances in between a lot of these conversations that we have here. While you're listening to suggestions and advices, One thing I learned a lot last year, 2024, folks can give suggestions. Maria, stay unique to you. Be unique to you. While people may not understand it, be unique to you. Stay you. Stay authentically you. I am so grateful because I know that these few stories that I've been able to share to inspire you would lead you into 2025 wanting to, eager to stay peculiar to your voice, your character, your uniqueness. And the next time I see you, I hear from you, I hope the story will be like, Maria, I listened to the pre-season episode 3 where you were talking about beauty marks and uniqueness and peculiarity and embracing who you are, and you went on and you did you, that you truly did you. And staying original because you're a masterpiece. Thank you so much for being a beautiful part of the podcast today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your follows. It means a whole lot for us. If there's somebody in your life you want to share some of the nuggets, some of the inspiration that I'm delivering here on the podcast, please feel free to share with your loved ones. Leave me a comment if this is blessing you. It encourages me as well to know that this is encouraging you as well, and you're picking pointers from the Nia Soule Salon story, Maria's story, to also navigate your own path in purpose and in finishing out and living out the calling and the assignment on your life, because we're all connecting dots in living out purpose and the calling of God on our life. So until next time, when I see you, thank you. I see you. I said see you like the next episode might be a video recording. Who knows? So until the next time that I see you or I hear from you or you're listening to me, I pray that all is well with you. I pray that your day is blessed. I pray that your week is blessed. I pray 2025 is amazing for all of us. And until the next episode, God bless you. And if you do nothing else, I just want you to live a life of purpose and be driven by purpose. Just live a life of purpose. All right. God bless you all. See you soon. Bye.